Welcome back, and hello if you're new. So today I'm going to be reviewing an album that I thought I wouldn't be reviewing, but I'm taking a leaf out of my corrosion of conformity mishap, and I really want to give the time dedicated to this new band. So coming off of 2016's Hunted, Khemmis have returned with their third brand new album, Desolation. So Khemmis as a band essentially play doom metal with elements that you could argue were from prog, black metal, and even classic 80s heavy metal. But I think one of the most distinctive things about this release is the vocals, really. It was an odd one, because I remember listening to this and thinking, oh, he just sounds like Matt Heafy, or he just sounds like My Dying Bride. But the more that I listened to this record, the more I understood that actually, no, Pendergrast has got his own distinct vocal style. Some of the vocal harmonies that are represented in Isolation are absolutely genius and really kind of elevate the song.
Hiding just beneath the flesh, desolate. This sun yearns for a river.
And then there's more of a My Dying Bride sort of style on Flesh to Nothing, which has this really quite forlorn and quite solemn style to it. The vocals can elevate the tracks full stop. For example, The Seer, which, you know, given its riffing, could be seen as something fairly normal and mundane in the world of doom metal, but with these vocals it really elevates it into something different. And in particular, the final track, From Ruin, really goes through those melancholic emotions, both instrumentally and on vocals. However, there is no shortage of riffs with this being a doom metal band. So for example, the opening riff in Bloodletting, Flesh to Nothing, for example, has this very big opening riff that is almost like a balustrade, you know, going into battle, really. And then you've got More of Time, which is, I would say, probably the most riff-oriented track on the album, which has this massive opening, doom da da doom da da doom, and it's got quite a sort of upbeat nature to it. But just as much as the band may write an incredibly heavy riff, they've also got the ability to write these really melancholic riffs. For example, on Flesh to Nothing, which often goes hand in hand with the vocals, similarly to the final track, From Ruin, as well. Isolation is a prime example of a big riff that opens up the song, which you can see here. And it really kind of gets you ready for what's coming. Khemmis also seem to work with the idea of guitar harmonies as well, and it's a very sort of Iron Maiden, Thin Lizzy-esque sound to it. In both the opening of Isolation there are these amazing harmonies, but also in the closing of Isolation as well. However, the band aren't short of a few absolutely cracking solos. Like, some of these really do come out of nowhere. For example, on Isolation, where this kind of really quick run happens. And of all the things, particularly in a doom band, I wasn't expecting that. It's just really interesting because I feel that they break character somewhat, but also remain in their own space at the same time. And again, More of Time has a great solo as well. But they've also incorporated several different styles, of one being black metal. For example, in the Flesh to Nothing outro, where there's incredible amounts of black metal vocals, and you can even hear the black metal style riffing change on Bloodletting. The band have also got some interesting dynamics, particularly when it comes to vocals. For example, on Isolation, where there's this change in dynamic, and it ultimately changes the overall feel of the song.
There he was, laid to
there's also the very subtle use of violins in the Seer. However, More of Time is probably the most comprehensive track, where it shows you that, you know, Khemmis have really started to adopt all of these styles into one cohesive package. So you've got elements from sort of prog, heavy metal, and particularly black metal, but it's not really individual cookie cutter sections. And I also think there's a guest spot by who sounds like Nick Holmes. But From Ruin deserves a mention as well, which is absolutely fantastic, melancholic, and is a really great way to close out the album. In terms of the negatives, I will admit this took me a while to get into. I think it was because of Bloodletting when I first heard it, and it just wasn't tickling my fancy. But once you do, and you get into sort of the crux of the album, there's so much on offer here from Khemmis. So the artwork carries on from what we saw on Hunted, and creates this sort of autumnal vibe with the choice of orange, and sort of browns and yellows, which traditionally do mean the arrival of autumn. And obviously kind of lies in that doom metal aesthetic. Khemmis have put forward an album that deserves your time. There are elements which overall work somewhat confusing, but by the end of it, the band really create their own cohesive sound, drawing from black metal, heavy metal, doom metal, and even a sprinkle of prog here and there. So for that reason, I'm going to give this record a 4 out of 5. Khemmis' brand new album is out on June 22nd via Nuclear Blast, and you can pick up a copy right underneath me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and click that notification bell so that you know when I upload. Also make sure to check out my Apocalyptic Anniversary series over on Metal Sucks. And I'll see you guys next week for another review. Thank you so much for watching. Alright.